Today we're going to be talking about happiness. Now, a lot of people think that happiness increases linearly if you get more and more money or more and more girls. You get laid with more girls and more. Or you do a lot of drugs and you'll get more and more happy or something material. And that's not really true. And I could end the video right here and just give you a few examples and just end it right there. So one, there's plenty of women or men, and it's not everyone, but you will find them if you look for them. They are very happy. They may even be the happiest people that you've ever seen or met. And again, they're rare, but not that rare. And they're very happy. And they don't have money. They'll never have a lot of money. They'll never be rich. They'll never have millions of dollars. But they're getting by and they're pretty happy. And they haven't gotten laid a lot of times, but they're pretty happy. And some of them, all of them, maybe a few of them don't do drugs either. And you can apply the same thing for anything that you think, oh my goodness, if I only had 10 more expensive cars, or man, if I could only get this and that. But there you go. And so, why is this the case? Well, I could just end this video here. It kind of explains itself, but long story short, these things are not necessities to bring happiness. If you're thinking that you need $1 billion to be happy, then it's probably something that's wrong with you. Not the fact that you need $1 billion. And probably, most likely, once you get that $1 billion and you haven't fixed what's wrong with you, you probably won't be happy. And so, for some of you, one way of finding this out is trying to chase what you think will get you happiness. And if you ever get it, realizing that it doesn't. But again, that may take a long time, and you can shave a lot of years off if you start to understand this. So, I could just end it right there, but I'm going to throw in some science. So there's a lot of scientific studies done on this thing. The first is that in comparison to different countries, third world countries and so forth, on average, keyword on average, there are higher levels of average happiness with more income, especially in developed countries. And the increase is almost linear up until a certain income level, around 75,000. And then you get less bang for your buck in terms of increased happiness. And it's sort of just it's a marginal increase as you rise in income. And so here's the key thing though, it's on average. So these are general trends, and that's why you will see I've seen a lot of very unhappy, bitter, angry, mean, wealthy people. They're rich, but they're unhappy, or they've killed themselves, or they hate their job. There's, again, as the job implies, there's many factors at play that add or contribute or interact with your level of happiness, and certain things that can overshadow it, and so forth. Religion is a potential factor, but again, none of these are necessities in my opinion. And so that's on average. So therefore, you still get poor people who are very happy, and therefore you can start seeing this and start working on the things that you can change right now to create long-lasting happiness, which may be better than you chasing things and finding yourself in a situation where you've compromised too much for happiness, and for instance, chased money thinking that it will overshadow everything, and compromise too much on how interested you are in a job and you just hate your job. A lot of investment bankers and some people in other professions definitely correlate with that, but not always, again. So finally, I want to throw in this last study. It's on how people who have won the lottery and gone through some traumatic event and lost their limbs, how their levels of happiness measure. So basically, they measured their happiness before this happened, and then some of them won the lottery, some of them lost their limb, and then they measured their happiness 1 year after the event. And what they found was, okay, initially when they won the lottery or the traumatic event took place, there was a huge upsurge in happiness or a huge downsurge. Obviously, the upsurge came from the lottery winners winning $1 million or whatever. But then a year later, they found, again, keyword on average, is that these people regress back to their normal average states of happiness. And I found through observation, experience, and I think there's some scientific studies that uh, corroborate this, but your general range is genetically set. But again, there's plenty of things that you can do to push it up. But anyhow, back to the study, they found that after the upsurge and downsurge, a year later, they went back to normal on average. So what does this mean? Basically, it means that generally speaking, our brains, and there's a lot of studies and mechanisms on this that are explained in this great book. It's called The Happiness Advantage. Um, and there's another one, it's called The Happiness Hypothesis, that goes very in depth on this, on all the ways your brain can sort of trick you or help you cope with something really bad happening. So there's a bunch of stuff in play with that. But on the flip side, as far as the huge upsurge and then fall back down, I do think that may be due to the fact that they don't know how to manage their money, or the fact that it doesn't really bring as much happiness as they thought they would, or a lot of other reasons. You know, a lot of these people who win the lottery, they don't know how to manage their money, and lo and behold, all of a sudden, their friends, their family, they look behind their back, and all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, it's all gone. So again, it's one of those weird things. Anyhow, again, the keywords on average, so that means that there are people who have fallen into depression and stayed in a depression, or remained elated, or maybe for whatever reason felt depressed after they won the lottery, or were very happy, even more happy than before they lost the limbs. So again, it doesn't always work, but so it's a very interesting thing. I guess that means you want to lean towards winning the lottery rather than losing a limb, but understand that your brain has coping mechanisms, and what you think will bring you exceptional happiness, in this case, superficial, materialistic thing, money, not so much. So finally, to the happiness genetic range thing, I do think this is true from observation. Having met quite a few people, there are some people, they're rarities, very rare, but their genetic range of happiness is just obscene, off the charts, just naturally. And then there are others, I tend to fall more in this group, where their genetic range is much lower. They have a proclivity or an inclination to be depressed a lot of the times, and so forth. So for me, I did a lot of reading in happiness books and positivity books, and a lot of consulting with people and watching and seeing very happy individuals. And I just started rewiring my brain, trying to think more positively, a lot of different mindsets and beliefs and things. And again, there's a bunch of other stuff you can do in terms of your lifestyle and so forth. I'm still working on it for sure. I'm still, working on it immensely. So I'm not exactly there yet, but again, there's that thing to note. And so, long story short, what's the point of this whole thing? Well, basically, understand that these materialistic things, if you are very unhappy and you think that this alone will be the solution, it probably isn't. It may be just fool's gold to you. And sometimes you may not believe it, and perhaps the only way of learning, which I hope is not the case for you, is the hardest way. I don't think that's ever the case, but that's one way of learning it, just through the hardest route, which is finding out eventually through the achievement of it that that's not what you really want. It can be fool's gold, but at the same time, there are plenty of benefits. I do believe in making more money, but not, again, you don't want to expect an exceptional increase in happiness. And I do think for me, for guys like me, there is definitely a benefit to working on everything you can to get better with girls. I don't think, again, it's very healthy if you're very unhappy and you think that the only solution is women, or getting laid with a bunch of women and so forth, or your happiness must come solely from your girlfriend or your relationship. That will probably lead to a train wreck when she leaves, or the relationship doesn't work out, or whatever happens. So again, you may have to look at other things. And I want to throw in one last thing. I've talked about this in other videos, but um, there's been studies done that show that one of the biggest, if only, correlation um, between happiness and all the other factors considered, wealth, income, IQ, everything, they found was the strength of your social relationships with others. Now, I've pondered this a bit, and I do think it can help. I do think that there are people out there who, with not many friends or no friends, I don't know about no friends, but again, I'm thinking of this documentary I saw about this man who lived alone for like 30 years. He didn't really live alone when I watched the documentary. He like went to the local town every week to get like food or something, but um, he may be an outlier. The point is, though, I do think it is very, very helpful to start forming strong relationships, strong friendships with women and men. Now, how can you form friendships with the opposite sex? A lot of people have huge problems with this. I can't do that. I'm attracted to them. Not always. There are plenty of them that you're not attracted to. And even if you are, you can still form friendships. You know, it may be very tough. Then just stick with the ones you're not attracted to. And those friendships and forming very strong bonds with them may be tremendously helpful um, if you can form strong relationships with the right people. Again, there's that disclaimer I have to remind you of you may want to hang around the people you want to be, or hang around people that you think are positive role models, or people you respect or have traits that you respect, because you're the average of the 5 people you hang around most, yada yada yada. But still, I do think some of the people who are just, I think they are just warm to a lot of individuals, and they have strong relationships and bonds with a decent amount of people, and they're social creatures, and they love and care for a lot of people. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm not expert at all this. I'm still trying to figure this out. Still have a few more books to read on happiness, and still going through a lot of my own struggles and trying to figure this out. But I want to share some of the stuff I've uncovered along my journey. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Subscribe. See ya.